Jarvis, start the class video. All right, let's see what we're going to look at this week. This week, actually, I hate coming back from a break and doing this, but we don't have a program to write this week because we're finishing up Module 5. Module 5. We've had the number systems, Dakota and ASCII. And remember, this is the unit that we learned about hexadecimal and all that good stuff. Object-oriented programming, OOP, and then the classes and methods was right before the break. I did go back and look and see this weekend that classes and method was not letting you submit if you missed the due date, which was last Sunday. I fixed that. You can turn that in still if you haven't turned it in already. So maybe you had that written and tried to submit it, and it said, sorry, the deadline's passed. You can go and you can turn that in if you didn't. But we're ready for the exam to finish this up before we move into testing and security. We're going to move into testing and security, which is a very short, as you can see, a very short unit right there. So Module 5 exam. So I want to look at that exam with you. Oh, wait, let's see. Let's look at our grade sheet. Yeah, that's all it's due, April 2nd. That's this Sunday. Module 5 exam, and then we'll spend April doing Module 6. So let me go back. I'm going to show you the exam because, you've been on break. Your mind is turned off of programming. So you'll definitely want to go back and review some of these things before you take the exam. So we're going to go through and you're going to look at the questions so you know what you need to go back and look at. Review your notes. Look at the code you wrote. Look at the programs you wrote and the assignments you did this unit, Module 5. And let's look at the questions. Decimal numbers are based on 10 digits from 0 to 9, 0 to 10, 1 to 9, 1 to 10. Now, granted, I haven't looked at this, but usually there's a bank of questions. So your questions may be a little different, but it'll have the same topic, right? So in Python, if you have an output that starts with a 0x, does that indicate it's a hexadecimal? So you need to know, what does Python put in front of the output to indicate true or false, right? Which of the following is the hexadecimal equivalent of 14? How would I write 14 in hexadecimal? Which one of these? Which of the following is considered information? Looking at programming information. Is that a single keystroke, all the characters, a test score, or an average of a series of test scores? Which of that would be considered information? ASCII is translated into emojis, true or false? Unicode has fewer letters than ASCII and is designed for languages using the Latin alphabet. In case you haven't paid attention, we use the Latin alphabet, right? English uses Latin, as opposed to like a Chinese alphabet, which is not Latin letters, right? So true or false? Does Unicode have fewer characters than ASCII, and is it designed for languages using the Latin alphabet? So you need to go back and be familiar with Unicode. Here's a chart. Gives you the decimal numbers 48 to 57 and the binary and the character, the ASCII character. Which of the following is the decimal character for 5 in ASCII? So can you use the chart and tell me which one of these is 5 in ASCII? How about 56? Which one of these is 56? As this is the decimal value this time. Pay attention. I'm giving you the decimal value. What's the ASCII character for that? Object-oriented program, OOP. It uses objects to carry out different what? It uses objects to carry out different actions, different attributes, different classes, or different systems. One reason a programmer may choose OOP over procedural programming, which one of these? So go back and review what object-oriented programming is used for. Why would you choose to do that? By the way, there's 16 questions here, so not a whole lot. Jamal currently has a class named Reaction Button. Remember, class is something in programming. We're not talking about English and math and these other classes. We're talking about this is a class that he wrote into his program called Reaction Button. In his existing Python program, he created two instances named Smile and Frown, but he wants to add one more named Surprise. Which one of these four statements would add surprise to his class Reaction Button? Okay. And a lot of this goes back to the program we just wrote before spring break, because we were using classes and attributes and stuff like that. In programming, it's the best practice to use all uppercase letters to name a class. Is that true or false? Should we use all uppercase letters? In Python, the first step of creating a class is to define and name it. Is that it? Do we define it and name it? Is the first step? True or false? Here's the last three questions. Maurice needs to initialize a new object with the attributes color and size. Which of the following correctly sets the initial values? They're all define, init, parentheses. Which one of these would do that? Create a new object with these two attributes, color and size. Okay, they're all very similar. Really, the only difference is the semicolons or commas or plus symbols are equal to plus symbol. Which of those is the correct way to write that? 15, Geneva has her class packing list, : she wants to initialize the attributes clothes and shoes. Which of the following properly initializes the shoes attribute? Would it be self.shoes equal, self equal shoes, quote, quote, self plus shoes, or self shoes? All right, so which one of those would do that? And the last question, which of the following would be included in the pseudocode for a program that tests the user's vocabulary skills? So would you ask the user for the number of guests, calculate the total cost of tuition and books? If the score is greater than 75, move on to the next level, or print a message displaying favorite food. Which of those would test vocabulary skills? So that's your 16 questions. Like I say, your questions may not be exactly the same questions because there's usually a bank of questions that it pulls from, but it'll be similar. It'll be dealing with the same items. So just be familiar with those items that I've gone through there. And that will give you, and if you'll notice, I've given you 2 attempts. So you can take it once, and if it doesn't score what you want, review it, see what you didn't know, go back and research those items, and you can have a retake already built in. I usually don't do retakes, but since we had a break, I want you to have a automatic retake allowed right there. So you get 2 attempts at getting that done. All right. I know you guys have slept many times since you've done any programs. So you probably want to go back and look at your last program. If you haven't written the program that was due before the break, if you haven't turned that in yet, do that first, because that'll help you understand on this. Oh yeah, this is the statement I had to use. So yeah, this is the one that's correct. So yeah, get caught up on anything you haven't done this unit before you take this test. But this is due Sunday. So any questions? All righty. Well, I don't need to keep you anytime. You guys just have a test this week and have a fabulous time. If your grade's below 70, I'll see you on Wednesday. But get anything turned in that is not turned in yet. And we'll see you next time.